While meteorologists track the potential for the first major storm of 2020, what they leave out from the article is the fact that 9 record-breaking storms have already occurred. Let's read the first sentence. Following a fairly tranquil weather pattern across the eastern two-thirds of the country, that's the last few days. So they already obfuscate from the truth from the beginning. And now let's get to some more details that they failed to report on. The fact that the global climate, the temperature on Earth has been dropping for the last 3,300 years to the tune of 3 degrees C is left out of all the models. And we come to some new scientific breakthroughs. Crystal caves show sea levels were raised 50 feet during a warm period in history. Yeah, just 5 million years ago, sea levels were 50 to 75 feet higher. And according to this article, you're all going to drown and burn up. According to a report by Science News, which is right here, we'll get to that. The Spanish Cuevas de Arta of the Balearic island of Mallorca has revealed mineral deposits that were the result of higher water levels from long ago. Scientists have dated these deposits to a time that could be over 5 million years old, a period known as the Pliocene epoch. And here you see Laura Tomb Raider, or whoever. During this epoch, water levels were estimated to be 52 feet higher than they are today. Temperatures were also much warmer, averaging 3 to 6 degrees higher globally. Now, if you can look at the last 10,000 years, what you can see is that temperatures have only been 2.5 degrees C higher than today. And this article is talking about 3 to 6 degrees higher globally. There were even deposits in the Cuevas de Arta that were 75 feet higher than the current sea levels. So sea levels were 75 feet higher than the current level in these deposits. And scientists expect average temperatures to rise to the same levels experienced during the Pliocene epoch sometime in the next 70 years. So in 70 years, we're going to beat all of these records during the last 12,000 years, according to this article, which, if you haven't guessed yet, is a total sharticle. Let's get to the scientific paper by Science News. Ancient crystal growth in caves reveals sea rose 16 meters in a warmer world. Now, here's the conundrum. If they're talking 5 million years ago before humans, which, by the way, is 5 million years before the beginning of this graph, how in the hell could that suggest that we are responsible for the current warming? Or that in 70 years, if based on the last 12,000 years of data, we've only ever been 2.5 degrees higher, and sea level has only been 50 feet higher, why would it be any higher than what they suggest? Because they're alarmists, and they have no idea about science and what's actually occurring, and that the cave minerals are actually getting to them. Let's look at the graph in the last 40 years. If temperature were to rise 3 to 6 degrees and sea levels 75 feet in the next 70 years, let's just look at the last, let's say, 40 years, which we're looking at now. Now, the last 40 years, temperature on Earth has gone from 0.3 degrees to 0.5 degrees below 1 here on the graph, which means there's barely been a half a degree rise in 40 years. So they're telling us that in the next 75 years, twice this time, temperatures are going to quadruple. They're going to rise faster than ever before in history. But the facts are, in the last 3 years, temperature have dropped a half a degree. Right here. Temperatures have dropped more in the last 3 years than they've risen in the last 40. Those are facts. And we're still sitting down here. It doesn't matter if you take the AIRS, the GISP temps, that's the GIS temp, the HAD CRUT 4, tan and weigh, or the ECMWF. Doesn't matter. Temperatures have dropped a half a degree in the last 3.5 years, while they've only risen less than that in the last 40. I don't know if you got through 8th grade math, but it's pretty simple. Matthew Adler and everyone else that's part of the global warming conspiracy that it's your fault can absolutely suck it. The sea level would never rise 75 feet in the next 80 years. That's 1 foot a year. Did this idiot ever think of it? In the last 300 years, the average rise in sea level is 3 millimeters per year. Multiply that times 100, and you get 300 millimeters, which could be 30 centimeters, which could be 10 inches. And that is far from 75 feet. Think about it. Someone who is allowed to publish in a mainstream periodical is claiming 75 feet of sea level rise when scientific evidence only suggests 10 inches. How sick have we become? I don't even believe this data, even though it comes from a satellite. Where's the hockey stick? Does anyone see that here? Am I missing something? Or did the scientists miss the fact that temperature has been dropping for 3,300 years? And that over the last 40 years, temperature has not risen enough to cover the drop down in the last 4. Are you picking it up? This graph shows straight down, starting at 2016. It's anyone's guess where we're headed. But if you continue to read this mainstream garbage, you will continue to be disinformed. Stick with the winners. Check the data. Now, Michael Mann had his hockey stick stuck right up 2016. But guess what? It fell right down on him. Those are the facts. Falling down before your very lives.